After my sophomore year at Clemson, I knew it was time for a change of scenery. Coming off a sophomore campaign where I had finished top 10 in the country in receiving yards, I had interest from every major program in the country. Should I chase a national title and join the Georgia Bulldogs? Should I come back as a hometown hero to play for the Oklahoma Sooners? Or do I head west in my quest to win a Heisman and play for Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans? After thinking about it long and hard, I knew there was only one place I could go. I was coming home to play for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. It was a decision that nobody saw coming since Stillwater is more than twice as far away as Norman is from my hometown of Shawnee, but Oklahoma's program had been struggling under head coach Brent Venables, while Oklahoma State ran an explosive offense led by Heisman hopeful quarterback Spencer Sanders. We started off the year on the road against Central Michigan, and right off the bat, I could tell that head coach Mike Gundy was committed to getting me the ball when in the first quarter, he drew up this awesome screen pass for me, and I took it for a 17-yard gain. I had spent the offseason working on my release against press coverage, and on the next drive, I threw off the cornerback, and Spencer Sanders delivered a beautiful ball for a 23-yard gain. Then in the second quarter, I capped off our touchdown drive with this beautiful diving one-handed grab, and right then, I knew that this was going to be a fun year. We won the game with ease, and I was beyond excited about what our potential could be this season. Now, we may have spent a little too much time partying and goofing off that week, but we weren't concerned because we were playing a no-name FCS school. However, that lack of focus showed in the first half as everyone was making bad decisions and not executing like we knew we were capable of. In the third quarter, with the score sitting at 10-3, I finally found open space and Spencer Sanders hit me along the sidelines for my first home touchdown of my Oklahoma State career. The score ended up being way closer than it should have been, but fortunately our defense forced a safety late in the fourth quarter to put the game away. While I only caught 3 passes, I made the very most of them to go over 100 yards and bring in a touchdown for the second straight game. In week 3, we faced the UTSA Roadrunners, who despite their 0-2 record, had one of the best defenses I had ever played against. But late in the first half, Spencer Sanders showed us what a playmaker he is when he tucked the ball away and took it himself for an 11-yard touchdown run. In the third quarter, he struck yet again, this time for a 7-yard touchdown, and the Roadrunners never had a chance. While I only had 30 receiving yards on the day, I was just relieved that we were able to get out of there with a win. In week 4, we were on the road against Texas Tech, and this ended up being our offense's best game of the year so far. Late in the first quarter, I made my first big play of the day with this huge catch from Spencer Sanders on this post route, and in the third quarter, I did what I've always done best, beating my defender on the slant to the inside and hauling in the touchdown over the middle. But it wasn't just me getting catches, we were able to spread the ball around, and late in the third quarter, I couldn't help but do a little celebration dive in front of the Red Raiders sideline as Braylon Presley hauled in a 61-yard touchdown catch. We won the game with ease, and I put up another solid stat line with my third touchdown catch in the first 4 games of the season. Our next game would be our biggest test of the year so far against number 18 Kansas State, and there's really no other way to say it, we got rocked. The game got off to a horrible start when our defense gave up a quick touchdown, and then Spencer Sanders threw a pick 6 on the screen pass, which set the tone for the rest of the game. Now, to our team's credit, we fought hard the whole game, with Spencer Sanders running in a touchdown late in the first half to make it 28-7, and then late in the fourth quarter against the Kansas State backups, I was able to haul in a 75-yard touchdown, but it all felt like hollow stat padding because we were still down by so much. We had been dominated on both sides of the ball, and we clearly had a lot more work to do if we wanted to achieve our goals this year. Next up was Kansas and what we hoped would be a bounce-back game, but the Jayhawks gave us everything they had. They took a bend-don't-break approach on defense, letting us get in the red zone, but then holding strong once we got there, and on our first 2 drives, we were forced to settle for field goals. Despite our struggles, my connection with Spencer Sanders was rock solid, and it felt like he was able to hit me every time I got open. But then I made a critical mistake late in the third quarter when I ran the wrong route, causing Spencer Sanders to throw an interception when our team was going in to score. Early in the fourth quarter, Spencer Sanders was able to hit Braylon Presley for a 25-yard touchdown, but after our defense let Kansas drive down the field and take a 1-point lead with just over 2 minutes left, we knew we had to be perfect this drive to get in field goal range and hopefully win the game. With under a minute 40 remaining, I made one of the best catches of my college career, just barely keeping the ball off the ground and holding on through contact. We still needed one more first down though, and on 4th and 1, Coach Gundy called the play of the game with this motion screen to Kendall Daniels, which picked up the first down and got us in field goal range. The kick split the uprights and we celebrated the close win, and boy were we relieved that we wouldn't have to deal with the embarrassment of losing to Kansas. Next up was Baylor, who despite their 5-1 record was still unranked because they had played the easiest schedule in the country so far. We wasted no time in exposing them as frauds, with Spencer Sanders threading the needle to me on this 17-yard completion on our first drive, and then connecting with Kendall Daniels for the 16-yard touchdown. On the first play of the second quarter, Spencer Sanders and I showed our ability to improvise when I broke off my streak to cut it back inside the safety, and he delivered a perfect dime over the middle, which I then took all the way for the 47-yard touchdown. Baylor never had a chance, and we rolled to an easy victory while I put up another solid stat line, giving me 7 touchdowns in 7 games so far. In week 8, we were on the road at number 11 Iowa State, and we got off to a crazy fast start. Late in the first quarter, Braylon Presley hauled in this 45-yard touchdown, and I was so pumped that I had to pull out my signature move, the 360 fist pump. A Spencer Sanders scramble in the second quarter put us up 21-0, and it was never really close after that. I didn't have to do too much this game, and while I still contributed 7 catches for 99 yards, it was just awesome to be part of an offense that was so explosive, we didn't have to rely on any single player for our offense to be firing on all cylinders. Now, our game on the road at West Virginia was one of the craziest games I've ever played, and that was partly because we were somehow playing in a blizzard in late October. Things couldn't have gotten off to a worse start when the West Virginia linebacker got away with pass interference on our first drive, which resulted in an interception, and they promptly punched it in for a touchdown. But we fought hard, and this first quarter touchdown catch that I hauled in on 3rd and 16 helped our offense get back on track. The end of the first half was absurd, with West Virginia connecting on the 71-yard touchdown pass, followed by Spencer Sanders hitting Kendall Daniels on a 50-yard Hail Mary as time expired, which I thought was well worth a 360 fist pump. Unfortunately, in the second half, our offense stalled out while West Virginia's offense kept making big play after big play, and after a third quarter Spencer Sanders interception, we realized the game might be out of reach. In the fourth quarter, West Virginia scored a 25-yard touchdown on this screen pass to Jeremiah Aaron, and down by 17 points, the game was essentially over. We fought to the very end, with Spencer Sanders hitting me on this 67-yard touchdown, but ultimately we lost 59-49 in the highest scoring game that I had ever been a part of. Next, we traveled to Austin to play in the biggest stadium I had ever seen as we took on the Texas Longhorns. After a quiet start, in the second quarter, I flipped a switch and went God mode for the rest of the game, starting with this 76-yard touchdown to give us a 17-14 lead. Coach Gundy could tell I was in the zone, and he told Spencer Sanders to feed me the ball as much as physically possible. Later in the third quarter, I made this ridiculous jumping, twisting catch and held on through contact, which set up a Mason Cobb touchdown a couple plays later. Texas put up a hell of a fight though, and late in the fourth quarter on 4th and 4, they hit this 24-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy to send the game into overtime. On 3rd and 7 in overtime, I initially got jammed like crazy, but I fought through it, got inside the defender, and hauled in the touchdown to give us a 7-point lead. It was all on our defense now, and on 4th and 10, they stopped Texas short of the first down line to put the game away. That capped off one of the best performances of my college career as I finished with 10 catches for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Next week was our biggest game of the season as we went on the road to take on number 1 ranked TCU. We got off to an electric start on our first drive when Spencer Sanders hit me in open space, and then I threw the safety off me and rumbled all the way to the end zone for a 35-yard touchdown. After that, TCU had me on lockdown and double covered for most of the game, but that opened up everything else for my teammates, like on this 57-yard touchdown catch by Braylon Presley to put us up 17-0. Now in the third quarter, I somehow held onto this catch through this insane hit where the TCU defender was called for targeting, and even though I popped right up, I wasn't feeling too great after that hit, and Coach Gundy kept me on the sidelines for the rest of the game. Our offense got us some insurance points, and the defense slammed the door shut on TCU's usually high-powered offense, and with that, we had officially taken down the number 1 team in the country. In rivalry week, we were at home for Bedlam against Oklahoma, who was having another down year and needed a win just to be bowl eligible. We had other plans, however, with Joe Robinson catching a 3-yard touchdown on our first drive and Mason Cobb catching a 9-yard touchdown on our second drive to give us a quick 14-0 lead. With that, the blowout was underway, and we ended up winning 42-14, and I got over the 100-yard mark for the 8th time this season. After winning the Big 12 championship with ease, I finished the year first team All Big 12 along with Spencer Sanders, and our team was invited to play Syracuse in the Fiesta Bowl after we just barely missed out on making it to the college football playoff. The Fiesta Bowl against Syracuse ended up being the greatest game of my career. Unfazed by the end zone art that got worse and worse every bowl season, I was playing at a level I had never seen before. In the second quarter, I juked the cornerback out of his shoes on this nasty cut on my corner route that went for 35 yards. That catch set up a field goal, and then on the next drive, Spencer Sanders found me deep over the middle for an electric 41-yard touchdown. In the third quarter, I said I can do even better, and after I shook off the cornerback, Spencer Sanders hit me deep over the middle again, and I sprinted to the end zone for the 49-yard touchdown. But after Syracuse tied up the game with just 41 seconds left, I knew I needed to make one more clutch play for my team. To my disbelief, with just over 30 seconds remaining, the Syracuse defense let me get open on the outside, and as I plowed through the safety and ran down the sidelines for the game-winning touchdown, I realized that I was finally reaching my full potential. We celebrated our win together and dedicated the game ball to Coach Gundy, who had been an incredible leader all year long. I was unbelievably happy that I had found the perfect home at Oklahoma State, and with one final season remaining in my college career, I knew I had to stay laser focused because there were two huge goals that I still had to accomplish.